Isn't it crazy that this is the mid-season episode of season one when you compare the mid-season of season two? They're just so totally different.
Yeah, I mean, it really is like just goes to show like how like the like release like what's the word like release timeline will affect how like the
Mm,
narrative within the season is like structured.
mhm.
Because this episode is mostly I mean the Mars stuff I guess is pretty crazy, but like mostly this episode isn't like a huge like turning point for any of the characters or the central conflict. Whereas
Yeah.
the mid-season episode for season two is obviously like really, really eventful and like significant for like what happens next. So yeah, pretty interesting to compare.
Yeah, because at this point, like we've spent four episodes without anyone knowing that Omni-Man committed the murders.
Right.
And like it's so interesting because I feel like a lot of people prefer season one to season two. But like if you look back on it, like season one moves a lot slower. Okay, I'll go, Megan, don't worry.
I I last episode we did, I start like if I could feel it, I was like, no, like be respectful. Bree's
But
talking.
anyways, I yeah, I feel like people prefer season one to season two, but this season does move like a lot slower.
Yeah. Um, it is a lot slower, but I think like that's what I was somewhat worried about on the rewatch is that I would just be a little bored because I've seen all this like origin stuff.
Mhm.
In sometimes admittedly I am like I don't I mean I like all the early Eve stuff for sure. I think that's fun. And I know it's just doing this bit every episode, but I truly don't find a lot of the Amber stuff, even his friend William, like that compelling.
Mhm.
And I feel like in season two, like a lot of that stuff is like I don't know, there's so much going on in season two that we don't spend as maybe much time in those small moments. So I think the general pacing of the show maybe is slightly changed, and there are times rewatching it where I'm like, oh, like this part isn't that compelling to me, or I don't think I'm going to get anything new out of this.
Mhm.
But I think in general, all the Nolan stuff, especially in this episode, like I've kind of talked about, is kind of just as, if not more interesting on the rewatch
Yeah.
because it just the writers had planted all of this so early, but we don't like see everything happen till we've now covered two seasons. So there's just a lot added like context and to conversations, um,
Mhm.
specifically with Nolan and Mark and Debbie. So that stuff I think uh, is better on the rewatch. But I don't remember now why I started talking about this. I don't. Did you have a question for me?
No, I was just comparing this mid-season episode to season two's mid-season episode.
Right, right, right.
So no question. Just a conversation. But I can't
Just the
wait to see
podcast.
what season three's mid-season episode is.
I wonder. I hope it's like. Kind of hope they don't do like the two parts again.
I feel like they won't. I have my fingers crossed.
But I think season three is already fairly underway, right?
Yeah, according to all the posts, who knows?
So hopefully we won't have to wait that long.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be nice.
hopefully it's maybe released in one chunk
Oh,
instead of.
you don't like the weekly releases?
Oh no, 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 sorry. I mean
Oh, I
like
see what you're saying.
I
I
do
see.
like the weekly releases because I think it just gives us a chance to record this podcast, but also like just talk about it and speculate and there's kind of like just a very classic why television is kind of fun because it's, week to week and not you just sit down in the theater for a couple hours. Um, but I kind of hope it's just like they drop episode, one and two, and then they just release week by week and don't do a hiatus in between, just because they're short seasons.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, what did you like about this episode? What should we get into first?
Let's, we talked about him a little bit last episode, but let's talk about our guy, Damien Darkblood.
Okay, you start.
Okay. He is, we said it last episode, but just the way he talks is so funny. At one point, he goes, can't hide truth. And he like wants it to be so serious, but he just like, it's just not a sentence.
He's yeah. He's just fun. I do think like I wonder if that character existed if he'd be like because he's from hell, if he'd be really like unsettling, or if he'd just be like kind of like who is this guy,
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like his like presence is what unsettles people because it like gets cold and he like shows up out of nowhere. But then
yeah,
he starts to talk and you're like,
it would. I mean, if you had never seen that dude before and like you didn't really know that
yeah.
he was around and he just popped in on you, man.
Scared. But I don't think he's like an evil bad guy. Like maybe it was just a mistake that he popped into my household.
Yeah,
Or
who
he's about to
knows?
reveal some like crazy information to me. Just
Yeah.
don't get on his bad side, that's all.
Well, it's good. Usually he has like sometimes he has a little notepad, right?
Yeah.
So he shows up with that. It's a little bit like, oh, okay, like you have to ask me something or
Oh, is this my therapy session?
he would probably be like a if he's your therapist, he couldn't give very like probably articulate like breakdowns.
Yeah.
But he would maybe just tell it to you straight and you'd be like it'd be like simple enough where you kind of think on it, like what the hidden meaning behind that is.
Yeah. You'd be like, wait, you're actually saying something there. He's like,
I
I
mean,
don't
dark
say
blood.
anything. But at one point he says like that evil like sees evil. I
Yeah.
think that's a big tell to what he knows.
Why is he in hell? Is the question.
Yeah, I don't know. What did he do?
I hope we'll find out because he's cool. Um,
Yeah, because then we say
who
bye to him.
who wins? Darkblood or Cahor?
In my mind, Kahor has like some power. I don't know if does what makes him
Mm,
scary?
I know. Does he like shoot fire or something?
Yeah, that's the thing is like I don't know what he does. Like he's a good detective. Is that what makes him so scary? Is that he knows like when you're lying?
He does seem to have some like just sense, um, some sixth sense.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. We've never. I mean, who knows if he can? So Nolan, I mean, talks to him and he's basically telling him, don't, I think he says, like, don't like threaten like my family or with your conspiracy stuff.
Hmm.
And David Darkwood's like, or what, you'll kill me? And he's like, no, I wouldn't have to. But it does make me wonder, like, what would that showdown look like? Would he just, I mean, Damien Darkwood can't really die, right?
I don't know. I guess not.
We might
We
have
need to know
to,
more more about this character.
We might have to read some fan fiction to just satisfy our questions.
I think so. Or write it
Um,
ourselves.
yeah, we can start writing. Um,
Yeah, we it's a quick high and by with Damien Darkblood. He
mhm.
gets sent back to hell, which
Yes.
I don't understand what they have against Damien. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Like I feel like he could really help them in some situations. Like what do they have against him?
I know it does make you wonder like what the history is with his character and
Hmm.
his
Well,
dynamic.
and Cecil says that like he's sending him back because he didn't drop the case.
Yeah.
Like he figured it out for you, Cecil.
I know. And even like once we see the entire season like play out and like all the Anu stuff kind of come to light, like why isn't Cecil brought him back? Like, what's up with that?